Okay, so the Dark Eldar, going into a little bit more specific aspects of the codex. If you look through it, one of the things you might notice is that there's, especially if you read the fluff and that kind of stuff, there's kind of these three main sections of the codex are of unit choices. There's basically stuff like warriors, incubi, the archons, lots of raiders, those kinds of things all typically go together. There's another group, the witches, witch cults, which are basically anything that has combat drugs, or that comes with combat drugs, so like Hellions, the Reaver Jetpikes, the witches, the blood brides, all of that. And then there's the homunculi type stuff, like the grotesques, the racks, the homunculi, the talos, pain, and parasite engines. So there's kind of those three sections of the codex, and independently, at least in my opinion, the warriors and the witches, those two groups can independently be extremely competitive armies. The grotesque ones are kind of more of a flavorful fluff army. If you play a dedicated one of those, you're not going to be super competitive unless you load up on good heavy support vehicles, which I guess it's kind of iffy whether or not that's in the same fluff of them or not. So the one I play is Raiders, which includes basically all the vehicles, the Venoms, the Raiders, Ravagers, Spiders, Bombers, the Scourge, Warriors, the Kabalite, Trueborn, and the Archon, the Incubi. I think that's pretty much it. That's the kind of army I play, the kind of army I've been playing for years, so that's what I know best. The Witch Cult army I'll make a video about, but I'm not as skilled with them. I haven't played them very much. Basically, in this warrior type of army, your lists can go, in my opinion, one of two different ways that will still be effective. Either you can play an extremely 100% all mobile army, everything is transports or Scourge, or deep striking, that kind of thing. Or you can do a hybrid, which the only thing I would recommend having on foot, aside from if you take Scourge, would be like maybe one or two squads, maybe three, depending on the points, of warriors on foot with dark lances. Everything else should be in raiders, or should be like a vehicle. So that's pretty much it. I mean, if you do an all static, all foot army, you're just gonna get killed. You're gonna get slaughtered. But if you do just a few squads of the warriors on foot with dark lances, they can be really good support and really good objective holders on your half, so you don't have to run anything back. So that's pretty much the only two ways I would recommend going with this. So I'm going to speak about what I know. There's other ways you can do this, but this is the way I know that it works, and this is the way I will be talking about. So here's a basic battle scenario. If I can ever get it down here. Okay. Now, obviously, this isn't even in points. This would represent only a fraction of the opposing force. There's just like some Space Marines over there, maybe like a Whirlwind, a Razorback, a Dreadnought, drop pod maybe that just came in. And you just got, this is a hybrid force. You should really have just a huge line of Raiders and Ravagers, that kind of stuff. And this one has like two squads of 10 warriors just kind of in the ruins here. And there's a little bit of terrain. There's like a little bit of line of sight blocking, like that Devilfish. Maybe a drop pod came in, that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty standard, pretty standard game. The way that this warrior force will work, this is the style I played. I've only played one tournament with the Dark Eldar. I think I tied second. So pretty much the way that they will work is, those warrior squads, if you're doing a hybrid list, will pretty much act as support. They'll just shoot at things, vehicles that seem like they'll be a problem, and they'll sit on your objective. They'll go to ground if they have to so that they don't die, and they'll soak up a lot of shots. They're really inexpensive. Each one of those units is maybe 100 points, so it's not a big deal. There's 200 points right there, and they'll take way more than 200 points worth of damage or shots and stuff, so they're pretty standard. Whether or not you're using with them, the Raiders, Ravagers should pretty much be the same way. As you can tell, I've obviously got two new ones and some old ones. I leave everything stock as far as weapons goes. All Dark Lances, even the Ravager. I did Dark Lances in the last codex. In this codex, it's even easier because you can still move 12 and shoot all 3 Dark Lances. So you pretty much, in this list, you want to load up on Lances. Don't mess around with the other weapons. Don't bother with them. So all Dark Lances on all of these. Every warrior squad inside the Raiders should have a splinter cannon and a blaster. And if you have the points, I give the first thing I'll give after that, if I have points, is I will give the leader of the squad will take an agonizer in every one of these. If I have more points after that I can spare, I give him a blast pistol. Just because it almost never doesn't do 15 points of damage. If you kill a Space Marine, you did one more point than it costs. So I'm not too concerned about throwing points into these squads like that. As far as vehicle upgrades, pretty much the first upgrade I always give them is the splinter racks. Night shields are very important as well, and so are the flicker fields. In my opinion, nothing else is really, really worth it. I do take some of them occasionally, but they're really not necessary. Now, these loadouts are a little bit expensive, so you can really dumb them down if you want to fit in like one more group of them. The Grizzly trophies are one of the few that I do take. If I have extra points laying around, but I'll usually only put it on every other one, so I'll put it on half of them, and I'll kind of try to keep my groups of one with talismans and one without the Grizzly talismans. I'll try to run them together so that I get the benefits from it on both squads. Just when you get out there, you get shot down, you want to be able to reroll if you get pinned or something like that. It's really useful. So that's pretty much how I run these groups. Now, running them with Dark Lance on the vehicle, the blaster, blast pistol, agonizer, flicker fields, night shields, and the splinter racks comes to around 250 points for one of these full of 10 guys. Yeah, you can take only 5 guys. That's a really good way to min-max, but I really don't recommend it because you really do need those guys when you get disembarked. If this gets wrecked or you need to jump out and shoot or charge something, having those 10 guys makes all the difference. Now, the reason that this list works so well, in my opinion, is, okay, so you've got a squad of warriors. It's about 250 points. If you don't deck them out, you could drop it down to about 200. Now, they can move extremely fast. They can shoot decently far because you have a splinter cannon in there, you have a Dark Lance on this. Every single one of these groups, which will make up a majority of your army, can take on any squad. If you run up this up next to a Land Raider, you have 3 Strength 8 AP2 Lances shooting it. If you're near, so you can take out vehicles, you can easily kill monstrous creatures. Especially now, splinter weapons are poison 4+, so you get near vehicles or monstrous creatures, you have the lances. If you're fighting hordes of infantry, you have twin-linked rapid-fire weapons that wound on 4s, AP5, so you can kill infantry no problem. Monstrous creatures, one of these groups can kill like a 200, 300 point monstrous creature in one shot. Vehicles don't stand a chance. Transports don't stand a chance. And you can target a separate thing with the vehicle and the squad inside. So you can actually take out 2 vehicles, take out a vehicle, and then shoot the guys inside. So it's really useful. And that's really the strength of this army, is that these are scoring units, they're extremely inexpensive, and every unit can kill pretty much anything. And that's basically how the list works.